Hello, everybody. Today we are going to be looking at dividing fractions by a whole number. So remember, when we're dividing fractions, we have a general rule here called keep, change, flip, where we keep the first fraction, change the sign from division to multiplication, and we flip the second fraction. So we can model fraction, division, dividing using two different methods. So we're going to see two different models that we can use to get our answer that kind of visually describes keep, change, flip. So we have a number line model. These can be a little confusing, so make sure to rewatch the video or to go back if you're missing information or if you didn't understand something. So we have 3/4 divided by 2. So I'm going to zoom in here. So the first step is going to be breaking up the first number line into 3/4, which I've done for you here. So I've broken it up into 3/4 and labeled my number line. All right, and then you also need to shade in 3/4 on your fraction bar. And as you can see, each line lines up so that you know that this is 1/4 of the bar and 2/4 of the bar, which is halfway between 0 and 1. So after you're done labeling your number line, breaking it up into 3/4, remember we have 3/4 divided by 2 here, which can be the same as saying 3/4 times 1/2. So I've broken my first number line down into fractions. I've shaded my bar, 3/4 representing my first fraction. So now I have a model here. This is 3 out of 4. Now I have to divide 3/4 by 2. So I have 3/4 here, and I need to break it up into 2. So each time I'm going to break up each box into 2. So now I have half of the first box. I have half of my second box. And I have half of my third box. Now, down below, you're going to see another number line. And what you're going to want to do is represent each of these lines right here as a fraction. So I need to relabel my fractions down here. And the reason why I've relabeled them into eighths is because now I've broken my line down, my number line down, into eighths. So how many sections is my bar now? My bar is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Same as down here. I've broken it down. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So again, what I've done to each part of my 3/4 is I've broken it into half because I'm dividing by 2. Dividing by 2 means that I am also multiplying by a half. So I want to break down 3/4 into half. So I have part of my 3/4 here. So 1/4 is broken down into half. My second fourth is broken down into half, and my third fourth is broken down into half. Now, I'm representing my new breakdown down here on my number line. And the question really is, what is 3/4 divided by 2? Well, the shaded region here is 3/4. So the thing I think you should be looking at here is, what is half of 3/4? Well, the whole thing is 3/4. This whole thing is 3/4. So what they want to know is, what is halfway between the shaded region? So now I have 1/2 of 3/4 here and 1/2 of 3/4 here. So if I follow my half of the shaded region down, I can see that it's going to equal 3/8. So I'm taking this whole section here. So this section I just boxed up is half of the shaded region 3/4. So half of 3/4, I can look down here, is 3/8. So my answer is going to be 3/8. All right. Remember, I'll model it one more time. We had a number line here from 0 to 1 because we have a regular fraction here. I broke the first line up into 3/4. So I represented each fourth with a fraction. 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. I shaded my bar with 3/4. I shaded in my region. I divide each region into the whole number, so I need 2 parts for each section. So I have 2 parts here on my first section, 2 parts here on my second section, and 2 parts here on my third section. And then inside of my shaded section, I can break that into 2. And when I break that into 2, I can follow my lines down and find what half of 3/4 is. Remember, when multiplication of is a term that we can use for multiplication. So I'm going to slide on over to my next example. So you guys have a blank line here from 0 to 1, and we have to represent 1/2 of 1. So we have to break this line into half, which I've done for you here. And then you also have to shade the half. Alrighty? So now I want to break this shaded part into 4 pieces. So I can take each piece and break it into 4 pieces. So now that I have my shaded part that's broken into 4, okay, so remember we shaded half, and then we needed to break it into 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and now they want to know what 4 is, what 1/4 is out of this. So remember our keep change flip rule, where I can change my second fraction by flipping it. So now I'm going to have 1/2 times 1/4, right? So what is 1/4 of the half? Well, here's your half. What is 1/4 of it? I only need to take 1/4 of it. So all I'm looking for is a fourth of the first fraction. I just want 1/4 of half. So when I look down below, I can follow my line straight down and see that 1/2 is the same as saying 1/2 of 1/4, or 1/2 divided by 4 is the same as saying 1/8. All right, moving on down. So this is an area model. So again, you have to represent your first fraction. So we have 3/7. So I went ahead and shaded 3/7. And then we have to break the whole model up into 4 equal pieces. So I'm going to break this whole thing up into 4 equal pieces. Once you've gone ahead and broken up your area model into 4 equal parts, this model is actually really easy to see because all I have to do is take my top corner and represent it as a fraction. So I have a bunch of new pieces here. Now the whole thing has been broken up into a bunch of different pieces, and the total amount of pieces here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times 1, 2, 3, 4. 7 times 4 is 28. So my denominator is 28 because my whole model here, the whole thing is broken into 28 pieces. Now the top is going to be represented, the numerator is going to be represented by the pieces that are in this top left section here. So there's only 3 pieces in that top left section. So my answer for this problem is going to be 3/28. Quick recap. All right. For my area model, I represent my fraction and I shade in my model. So I did 3/7. I break the model up into 4 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, represented by the red lines. And then I can take the amount of pieces total in the model. The total amount of pieces now, my new pieces, is 28. And then my top left section has 3. So I have 3/28. So again, we have another model here. And they didn't break this up for you. So your job would be to break this whole square that's blank into fifths. So I need fifths to be represented in my model right here. And 2 of those fifths are going to be shaded. Now I have to break my model up again into 3 sections. And I'm going to be doing that going across. So now that I have a brand new grid here, I need to know the total amount of pieces in the top left corner, which is 2. And the total amount of pieces in the entire thing, which is 15. All right, so again, I broke my model up into fifths because I want to represent 2 fifths, and the only way to do that is to create fifths. So I drew my lines going down, right? So at first I drew all these lines going down, and then I broke up my fifths going up and down into thirds. So when I'm done creating a new grid, I can see on my top left corner there were 2 fractions shaded, so my numerator is 2, and the total amount of pieces, which is 15. So on the bottom of your page, you can use either the area model here or the number line model here, and choose one model and solve the problems below. So not only are you going to get the answer, I need to see one of these models, and I recommend the area model. I think that's the easiest model. All right, we're going to move on to the back of the page, a little bit easier than the front. We're going to be talking about a reciprocal of a fraction. A fraction multiplied by its reciprocal has a product of 1. It's also called the multiplicative inverse. So for example, the reciprocal of 5/8 is 8/5, which will give me 1. So the purpose of a reciprocal is to create 1 from a fraction by multiplying it by its reciprocal. So the reciprocal of 9/7 is 7/9, which will create 1. And the reciprocal of 2/11 is 11/2, and that will create 1. So for numbers 3 through 8, all you have to do is write the reciprocal of the fraction. So the reciprocal of 1/4, I take 4, I move it to the numerator, and take 1 and move it to the denominator. So I have 4/1. All right, and I'm going to take a look at number 7. And remember, when you have a whole number, the way to represent a whole number as a fraction is taking the whole number, in this case it is 7, and we're going to be putting it over 1. So my new fraction that's going to be represented as a fraction of a whole number is going to be 7/1. All right, whole numbers get represented as fractions as itself the whole number over 1. So we have 7/1. So the reciprocal of 7/1 is going to be 1/7. All right, so basically all you're going to be doing is flipping these fractions and writing them down in the bottom right corner. So the last part here is the shortcut way, basically. says use the following steps to divide fractions. If number 1, change each mixed number to an improper fraction. So if you have a mixed number like a number 11, you'll need to change that to an improper fraction. So then rewrite the first fraction, so you are keeping it. 3, change the division and multiplication, so change the sign. 4, find the reciprocal of the second fraction, so we're flipping it. So keep, change, flip. Alright, so we are, number 2 is like saying keep, number 3 is like saying change, and number 4 is like saying flip. Keep, change, flip. So remember, each one of the whole numbers is going to be over 1, just like we did, for example, in number 7 above. So I did number 11 with you here, so I did have a mixed number. So remember, I multiplied the denominator by the whole. 4 times 2 plus 3 is going to give me a brand new numerator of 11, so I have changed my mixed number to an improper fraction, step 1 and above. I can rewrite the first fraction, which is right here, 11 over 4. Change the sign from division to multiplication. Flip the second fraction, which would have been 5 over 1. And then I can multiply straight across. So 11 times 1 is 11. And 4 times 5 is 20. So my answer for that one is going to be 11/20. Alright, so when you summarize today's lesson, again, I always like to take information from the gray boxes here so you can maybe explain the dividing fractions method with keep, change, flip. Maybe you can describe what a reciprocal of a fraction is and its purpose, which would be flipping the fraction to create and multiplying it to create 1. Or you can explain one of these area models. Alright guys, that's going to be it for today. Everybody have a great day and stay safe.